Governor Pritzker called. I didn't call him, he called me and said, "We heard about it. We're on it. We'll take care of it. I'm sending my personal detail out to you." That's what leadership is. That's what courage is. He knew that by supporting us and helping us, that he would get the ire and the wrath of Donald Trump, and he did. And he knew what it would do to his state. But he said to us, "This fight is more important than me. This fight is more important than any of us. This is for our nation." And I could not be more proud to call JB Pritzker our brother in arms. So let's welcome the governor that we should have in this state, right? A governor that if we had a governor like this in every state, we wouldn't be here. Let's welcome up our fabulous governor from Illinois, JB Pritzker!
Thank you. What a kind welcome. Hello, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, Texas Democrats. Love being here. Thank you so much to Jean. Thank you for that extraordinary introduction. Thank you and Nicole and the entire caucus who we became close together because of all of those challenges. And I just want you to know that they really showed America, they showed Democrats what it means to stand up and fight back. Thank you, thank you. I also want to thank your chairman of the Texas Democratic Party, of course, Kendall Scudder. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for inviting me. You are unleashing a blue wave across the country from right here in Texas. I've been all over the country working to get our party fired up about winning in November. But that's right. But no one needs to fire up Texas Democrats because you all have been baking in the crucible for decades. You fire me up. So today I want to talk about what Texas Democrats have taught me and what all of you are teaching the rest of the country about optimism versus faith. I've been governor of Illinois now for almost 8 years, and it's the best job I've ever had. Maybe it's the best job I ever will have. That must be a cousin. Back when I was first elected in 2018, I used to think that the secret to being successful was my penchant to be an optimist. They called me Governor Sunshine, a name that I earned because, unlike many of the leaders who had preceded me, I was an unrelenting champion of the untapped potential of the state of Illinois. And I believed that better days were ahead, and I communicated that belief every chance I got to anyone who would listen. That optimism fueled the early days of my administration, where we raised the minimum wage, where we lifted hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty as a result. We guaranteed abortion rights for every woman in Illinois. Invested $40 billion in roads and bridges and airports and schools. We legalized cannabis. Oh, I see you. And we expunged 800,000 people's cannabis convictions. And we hired more school teachers and reduced class sizes. So my optimism drove an entire year of legislative and political successes. And then came 2020. The euphoria of our 2018 Democratic electoral victories gave way to a global pandemic, and the realities of the utter incompetence of the first Trump presidency set in. For 2 years, I navigated the turbulent waters of COVID surges, our overwhelmed hospital systems, a broken national supply chain, and the daily whims of a president who was clearly bewildered by the severity of the crisis around him. It was hard to be optimistic during those days. Hard to find Governor Sunshine amidst ventilator shortages and tens of thousands of deaths, business closures, and the White House press conferences urging people to inject bleach. But then came a vaccine and a new president. As the world started to seem to return to normal, I let optimism seep back in. I worked on important economic development projects in my state. I expanded early childhood education and childcare. And feeling just optimistic enough, I ran for and won re-election. And things were looking up. My renewed optimism seemed warranted. But then Governor Abbott bussed 50,000 migrants to Chicago, many in the middle of winter with no coats, left to brave the freezing temperatures, with no food for their families. And Abbott was unwilling to coordinate. We tried, unwilling to coordinate with us so that these people didn't needlessly suffer. During all of this, using the immigration issue as his cudgel, Donald Trump found a foothold in the consciousness of the nation once again. Something dark and ugly flooded into our politics, as if a gate around our worst instincts had crumbled. And before I knew it, we found ourselves in the midst of a second Trump administration, one where all of the tenuous restraint of his first term was gone. I watched the President of the United States delight in wreaking havoc on working families in Illinois and all across America, on our people, on our economy. It's ironic that today, on the eve of our 250th anniversary as a country, a man sits in the White House who is everything the founders feared most as they launched their experiment in democratic self-government. An uncontrollable, narcissistic, authoritarian president who acts like a king. Trump sent masked federal agents in unmarked cars to Houston, to Austin, to San Antonio, to Corpus Christi, to Minneapolis, to Chicago, and more. Rounded up black and brown people, neighbors and school children, moms and dads, citizens and non-citizens alike. He showed contempt for the pillars of our justice system, for habeas corpus and birthright citizenship and due process. He declared war on our allies. Those are the ones we need. And he made peace with enemies that we don't need. He took a once booming economy and did everything possible to break it. And at the White House, he tore down the hallowed walls of the East Wing, and he demolished the moral values in the West Wing. He looked at every symbol of our nation's democracy, every one, and thought, how can I make this into a gilded tribute to myself? He has accomplished in his presidency what he never achieved in his business career. He's finally making a profit. And Trump has turned 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue from the People's House to a nut house, where he's retreated to the last and only respite of the desperate and the damned, paranoid self-delusion. Now, I know we Democrats are having a conversation right now about how much we should talk about Donald Trump. Trust me, I'm just as tired as you all are of having this man in our lives. seemingly every minute of every day. But I don't think that we can offer a solution for the future unless we fully and honestly confront what he is doing to this country right now. Because like it or not, Donald Trump is a reflecting pool of our politics. You can paint the bottom blue, but it won't conceal the polluted water above. Which brings me back to optimism versus faith. Optimism will sometimes get you through the near term. It's like one of those little energy packets that they give you during a marathon, a little boost of sugar to help deal with the next mile. And maybe you run a great next mile, but then you turn the corner and there are 10 more to go. And if those next miles are uphill in the heat of the day, that little energy packet cannot sustain you anymore. Actually, given how long the race is, it made you run faster than you should have, and it messed up your pace. That's when optimism becomes the yoke on your back as opposed to the spring in your step. Faith, on the other hand, is the thing that drives all the preparation that goes into a marathon, like the long runs on weekends, like the training sprints in early mornings. It is years of running shorter races on less arduous terrain to build confidence and endurance. And it's trying again and again to beat your best mile time when there is no one around to cheer you on. That is faith. Optimism will get you through a mile. Faith will get you through a marathon. I learned that lesson. When we welcomed the Texas House Democrats to Illinois just about a year ago. That's where I got to spend some time with James Tallarico and Gina Hinojosa and Jean Wu and Tony Rose and, well, all of their colleagues. And here's what I was struck by. You all had spent a long time fighting, a long running uphill in the heat. You knew that despite your best efforts, eventually you were going to have to return to Texas and deal with a likely redistricting loss. So when you broke quorum, you were not lured by any optimism around winning a short-term battle over the Texas map. You were there because your faith gave you confidence in what could be accomplished in the end. It was instructive and inspiring. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending the opening of the Obama Presidential Center. It was in Chicago. It was a perfect day. We were surrounded by really, really good people. Mark Anthony sang Vivir mi vida, and we all danced in our seats. And for a moment, I remembered what it was like to feel a little bit of joy in politics. But it was President Obama's speech that will sit with me much longer. Towards the end of that speech, he talked about Reverend Theodore Parker, an abolitionist who first uttered the famous words about the arc of the moral universe being long but bending toward justice. President Obama noted that Parker did not live to see the true realization of his life's work and said that Parker's words were, and I'm quoting, a declaration of faith, a defiant call to not to abandon hope or to give way to fear, even in the face of cruelty and bitter disappointment, even in the face of impossible odds. President Obama, in his typically elegant way, was saying that what we need right now is faith. Because faith is the water flowing through rock, carving a beautiful canyon over time. Over these last few years, despite everything, in part because of you, I have found faith. And as the Bible says, faith without works is dead. The American promise, the one that we sell to all the people who come to our shores, that American promise is broken. The vast majority of folks in this country cannot afford a home or pay for an education or retire with ease. Our healthcare system serves insurance companies, not people. Most leaders of big tech companies have abandoned the idea that, they would build things to make our lives better. And they've replaced it with the idea that they should only make their lives better. Companies seem to care, not at all, if the people who work in their factories and their offices can afford the goods and services that they're selling. And as the essentials of life have become more and more unaffordable, so too have the joys. Families can't take a summer vacation because everything from a road trip to a beach rental or a few days at Disney World are now priced only for the 1%. Private equity is buying up little league teams and ice skating rinks, and they're charging parents to video their children hitting a home run or a hat trick in a hockey rink. Football game, just to go to a professional football game, costs $1,000 for a family of 4 now to attend. Ticket brokers and dynamic pricing have made the coming of age rite of passage of seeing your favorite live band completely out of reach. Life is not about just getting up, going to a job, and grinding it out until you die. Life is found in all the moments of joy that spring up in between surviving. It's no wonder everyone is miserable. Everything that makes us happy is drifting out of reach. And when everyone is miserable, anger and cruelty become a potent weapon in politics. These problems didn't start with Donald Trump. No, they didn't. He just exploited them. And if we're being honest, we Democrats let him. Our party's leaders grew complacent, thinking good intentions could replace good work. They let nostalgia for parts of our political past replace efforts to innovate our political future. They forgot what it is to strive and to fail and then to get up and strive again. That is what people do every single day. Get up and strive again. But unwilling to break old customs to build new foundations, it seems like everyone on our side thought democracy was a garden that didn't need tending, forgetting that weeds need to be pulled up by their roots, not just occasionally mowed down. It has seemed like we Democrats were full of the heady vapors of optimism, not the grounded roots of true faith. The headwinds have been blowing against us for seemingly a very long time. But recently, I've begun to feel a mild shift in the breeze. The change is slight. You might miss it if you blink too fast, but it's there. Not just in the electoral wins of the past year, or the shifting polls, or the growing defiance of once compliant GOP politicians. Not just in previously, timid politicians suddenly finding their voice. Not just in those things, no. You can see the wind shift in the newcomers to Democratic politics, the mayors, the state legislators, the first-time elected officials who have breezed onto the stage like a breath of fresh air, brimming with ideas and cowed by no one's petty insults. And the public is on board with the new winds a-blowing. You can see it in this country's embrace of our World Cup visitors. It's as if over the last few weeks, our citizens wanted to do everything possible to say to our global cousins, hey, those guys in the White House, Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, they're not us. And we say to them, come eat our ranch dressing and drink at our bars. Drink all the beer and enjoy our free tortilla chips and marvel at our sunsets, because the idea of the United States has never belonged to one man or one political party. It belongs to our people and our communities. What we're telling all those visitors is we get to decide who we are, not them. I think it's time that we make clear that America is good and decent and kind. It's time to demand from our leaders that they show empathy to the struggling, compassion to the destitute. I don't think cruelty is some virtue that shows us how much of a man you are. Blatant racism doesn't make you tough, it just makes you a racist. And I don't think that the constant barrage of insults that come from the president's social media account is some fresh new brand of politics. I just think it's mean. And I think that we should say that to the American people plainly and clearly, because most Americans choose kindness over cruelty. Now, I've been a Democrat my whole life, and I've seen our party twist ourselves into some pretzels over the years, but none as intense as the one that we're twisting ourselves into right now. I'm all in favor of self-reflection and analysis after a loss. It's a healthy part of a process. But somewhere in the last 2 years, we've turned our penchant for soul-searching into introspection and made it an industry. There are too many books, I mean too many books, and too many podcasts about the books, and too many books about the podcasts. The midterm elections are just a few months away, and it's time to stop talking about, well, doing the thing and just go do the thing. And that's what you Texas Democrats understand better than anyone, because you already know that for every national pundit who waxes poetic about whether or not James Tallarico or Gina Hinojosa can win Texas, there need to be 1,000 Texas Democrats out knocking doors and making phone calls. You already know you have miles left to run in the marathon, but you have trained for this. You have faith, and your faith has given this optimist a whole lot of hope. So let's get out there and win this thing. Are you ready for the fight? Are you ready for the fight? Let's go get them, everyone. Thank you very much.